We all remember that day.
There's only one way this kid goes back out there, and that's on a very short leash.
I need to do more. I can save lives. When I was a kid, I always wanted to be my dad. People of Earth, put me back out there. You're way too good for me!
Mark isn't like other Viltrumites. He's a good guy.
Who are you?
I call me the Shapesmith.
Shut it down, or I take it down.
There's an infinite number of dimensions, and I was born with the ability to access all of them.
Make us.
You have no idea how much I wanted you to say that.
I don't care how old he is. He needs to go down now!
Maybe if you trained more and complained less.
What if I become him and I don't even know it?
Make him pay for what he did to your world.
I need revenge.
The last 20 years of my life have been a lie.
You want this back? Come and get it.
So arrogant, just like your father.
The more you resist, the worse this gets. And if you think you can stop us, don't forget.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. There's a brand new Invincible Season 2 trailer, so we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of new footage teasing the storylines for at least the first half of the season. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that we don't see in here we know will happen during Season 2, but they're splitting the season into two halves, like 4 and 4, so I'll explain what's going on. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. I'll do like an Invincible themed giveaway when the episode videos start, and I will be doing weekly episode videos just because they're releasing them weekly, so it's a little bit easier for me to do that this year. They'll be dropping the first 4 episodes from the season in November, and then next year, sometime early next year, they'll be dropping the other 4. Because there's a lot of Angstrom Levy footage in this trailer and a lot of events from his comic book run, they might wind up beginning the season mopping up the mess left over from the end of last season, with him trying to get back in good with the Guardians of the Globe and Cecil and trying to help people, basically clean up a lot of the messes that his father created Omni-Man. Tie up a lot of loose ends and lesser villains, and then get to the Angstrom Levy plot and spend most of the first half of the season on that. Then there might be some sort of Angstrom Levy cliffhanger in episode 4, and then when they pick up in the second half of the season next year, then they might resolve the Angstrom Levy plot and push to Conquest and Anissa. They're like the next 2 really, really big villains after Angstrom Levy, but Angstrom Levy seems like it's going to be a big part of this first half of the season. There are a ton of new characters that they announced in the last trailer, so I'll talk about them as they appear in this trailer. We don't see everybody that they announced, but they start the trailer on the wreckage of this city with them talking on the news about the aftermath of Omni-Man's attack and what happened. But here's the thing, they're kind of juxtaposing these two footage, like the city damage is not from that news broadcast. They're like 2 completely different scenes. This scene of the widespread damage is actually from another universe with another version of Invincible who winds up taking over the planet with his father. Like, he says yes to Omni-Man, and they both team up to take over the planet for the Viltrumites. That's because the Angstrom Levy plot, like he's one of the big villains this season, is a big multiverse villain. Like, it's the Invincible version of a multiverse plot. Robert Kirkman was like, I hear everybody's getting tired of the multiverse stuff in the Marvel universe. Don't worry, the way that we treat multiverse in the Invincible universe is going to be very different. If you read the comic book run, then you know some of what they're going to be doing. But they will tease a bunch of alternate versions of Invincible where things went down differently in alternate universes. Like in the main universe, he obviously stood against his father and said no to the Viltrumites taking over the planet. There'll be some very big consequences to that when the Viltrumites retaliate, so we'll get to that in a second, don't worry. But before that is all the Angstrom Levy stuff. He's not a Viltrumite. So we're basically starting the trailer looking at the wreckage of what happens when Invincible tries to take over the planet with his father, but in another universe. It's meant to be from that same scene at the end of the trailer where he's on the readout display on their version of Times Square, basically telling the people of Earth to give up because he is invincible. But they do that title treatment where he almost says the word invincible, but then it cuts to the title screen Invincible.
And if you think you can stop us, don't forget, I'm...
That's one of the evil versions of him from another universe. When they're talking about Omni-Man's betrayal on the news, they juxtapose some brand new footage with footage left over on the news from Season 1. Invincible travels back to the site where his father almost wound up killing him, but couldn't do it because his father still loves him. So a big part of the Invincible storyline is still Omni-Man. Even though it's mostly about Invincible, he's the titular character. A lot of the continuing story of Invincible, like for however many seasons it winds up running for the entire comic book run, is the story of the redemption of Omni-Man. So he is going to be on a redemption arc eventually. It'll just take a little while to get there. Not much time is meant to have gone by since the end of season 1. So this is all still fresh wounds in everybody's mind. Like Mark's blood is still all over the rocks here. It hasn't completely dried up yet. The other noticeable thing that you see when you're watching the trailer here, not anything about the actual story, but the actual quality of the animation seems like it got a huge upgrade. Like Amazon pumped way more money into this. Robert Kirkman even teased that they're developing a live-action Invincible movie. Maybe we'll see Jeffrey Dean Morgan in that because he was reading the Invincible compendium books from the comic book storyline, but that might be because he's coming to the animated show to play a version of like Thrag or Conquest or like another big character. Jeffrey Dean Morgan would be a badass version of Thrag. Invincible starts reminiscing on wanting to be like his father, basically dealing with the grief in everything that happened. Like he's still kind of shattered inside, not sure what to do about everything. Then he starts wondering if he is going to potentially betray everyone. Like what happens if he turns evil like his father or winds up being evil like his father? It's a very Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader kind of thing. Like, am I going to become like my father? There's the potential there, but it's all about the choices you make. And a big part of that is the people around Mark, or the Invincible character, that help him be good. Mostly his mother, Adam Eve, like his relationships with his friends, just in general, all the positive influence around him. And this is also a big part of redeeming the Omni-Man character. It's all about Mark. Like, Mark is the person who helps make him want to be better. There's a couple scenes throughout the trailer of him trying to go on saves, like he's talking to Cecil, please put me back on the team, I want to help, and Cecil isn't quite sure yet because not that much time has gone by since that season 1 finale. Like, we're still kind of worried about you because you're part Viltrumite. That's why you see him fighting the Immortal, because the Immortal hates the Viltrumites, hates Omni-Man, and doesn't trust Mark either. There's a much bigger storyline with the Coalition of Planets. They're introducing those characters, and that comes through Alan, the alien character. Basically, he's trying to pull for Mark, like he's telling the Coalition of Planets, like, no, he can be good. Don't worry, he's on our side. This is basically the headquarters of the Coalition of Planets. This is the Thaddeus character. He is huge, played by Peter Cullen. So the idea is that Thaddeus is a huge character in the history of the Invincible universe. He's like an OG Viltrumite that goes back to the original war that cleansed their people of all their weaknesses. And when he's talking about, like, I haven't seen this kind of destruction since the last Great War. Remember, Viltrumites just get stronger as they get older, so theoretically they could live forever, which is why he's so old. But what wound up happening is that when their race started their internal civil war to make themselves stronger, they started conquering the rest of the universe. Eventually, he saw that as a great evil. He saw their people as evil and rebelled against them. In the aftermath of their people's supremacy, he became the first rebel against their people, the first Viltrumite to go against the united Viltrumite people. During episode 8, Alan the Alien explains to Invincible what the Coalition of Planets is, basically an anti-Viltrumite coalition of planets that want to get rid of them and stop them from conquering the universe. Thaddeus was actually a founding member of the Coalition of Planets. They at least begin the season and he's still with the Amber character. I don't know how long that's going to last. There's a lot we can talk about there, but like it kind of gets into spoiler territory. So if you know about what happens between Invincible and Adam Eve, don't post that in the comments below. Don't worry, we can talk about that in like the second half of the season. That becomes a much bigger thing when Conquest and Anissa wind up showing up, but that's like later in season 2, maybe even beginning of season 3. The Guardians of the Globe meet the Shapesmith character. He's played by Ben Schwartz, who sounds familiar, like, oh, that sounds like the voice of Sonic. Shapesmith, obviously, as you can see from the footage, is a shape-shifting character, kind of like Morph. This character floating in the background with the Guardians is Bulletproof. He's another new character during Season 2, played by Jay Farrow. This is the Angstrom Levy character working with the Maulers to construct his multiverse device. These scenes in the trailer are right out of the comics, with Invincible showing up to try and stop Angstrom Levy, basically creating an even bigger mess and turning Angstrom Levy into an even bigger villain for him. The collateral damage from what happens here is the reason why there's this giant globe over this part of the city here. Like, it causes this giant explosion. The way they cut the footage makes it look like Mark is punching another Viltrumite here, but that doesn't happen yet. Like, he does wind up fighting other Viltrumites eventually. But if you look at this scene, it's actually another Viltrumite fighting this Viltrumite, like it's two Viltrumites duking it out. So it might be another flashback, or it might actually go to the Viltrum planet this season in present day. But it's a little bit early for that. I'm not expecting that till like a little bit later in season 2, maybe beginning of season 3. This is Mark fighting Doc Seismic and a lot of the other villains from the end of Season 1 that they tease in all those different post-credit scenes. Most of the beginning of Season 2 is him cleaning up those messes, like just trying to be an actual superhero, getting the public to try and trust him again. This is actually a big twist here too. This scene here is a little bit misleading. It's Angstrom Levy, after he's been disfigured by Invincible, dumping him in another universe where he actually tried to take over the planet, like an evil version of Mark tried to take over the planet, so everybody on that Earth hates him, and he basically takes the regular Invincible, dumps him there, and tells them that this is their Invincible, get your revenge on him as much as you want. So one of the big things during the season is Mark trying to make it back to his universe after Angstrom Levy dumps him in another universe. This is the Kill Cannon character coming back. They featured him at the beginning of the Invincible series. This is one of the first villains that he fought, and also featured during the Adam Eve flashback episode. She was one of the first villains that he fought when she was way younger. So it's a big callback to see Adam Eve getting ready to take him down again. Like, oh, I remember you. You were that chud that I took down a long time ago. This is just the Immortal training with Invincible. Like, he's not trying to kill him, but he does kind of want to kill him. There are a couple new characters. Mark seems like he's on another planet. Hard to tell where he is in this scene. You see him post up in space next to a black hole. That's how powerful he is. Remember, he's only half Viltrumite too, so full Viltrumites can actually become much more powerful, like Thrag. Then, like I said, when he does the big People of Earth speech, this is meant to be an alternate universe where this version of Invincible helped take over the planet. Early theory that it's probably the universe where Angstrom Levy dumps him when he sends him to an alternate universe to just trap him. This is like the alternate universe version of the Guardians of the Globe. That's why they look a little bit different. There's a bunch of Easter eggs and references here, so if you think you spotted any that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, but we'll get some more footage before the season actually premieres. They also just released the trailer for Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat 1. He's voiced by J.K. Simmons, and a lot of the scenes are references to his scenes from Season 1, like a lot of his finishing moves are references to Season 1 moments, particularly the train scene. The funny thing about that is that Ed Boon said that the minute he saw Invincible Season 1, he wanted to put Omni-Man in his games, but originally he was thinking about putting him in the Injustice game, which would have been a totally different vibe. He claims he felt like Omni-Man would just fit better in Mortal Kombat 1, the way that they're building this game. Maybe I'll give away a couple copies during my Invincible episode videos. Click here for my Invincible Season 2 bonus episode video for Adam Eve, and click here for my brand new Loki Season 2 Episode 3 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.